Live, local, late breaking. Heartland News at 6 starts now.
Coming up, a frantic search for a missing 3-year-old boy turns tragic after a body is found nearby.
We've got to build a better politics.
President Obama speaks to the Illinois General Assembly, trying to bridge the gap that has contributed to a months-long budget stalemate.
They have come to be extraordinarily distrustful of America's bank.
And young Americans are changing the way they bank, and that could hurt the bottom line of the entire industry.
Plus, we talked to a musical prodigy in Poplar Bluff who could soon become a household name.
Good evening, everyone. The snow that fell for most of the day will be making driving a little bit tricky now that the sun has gone down. We have live first alert weather team coverage tonight at 6.
Laura Wibbenmeyer will give us an update on the roads, but let's start off with Grant Dade for the latest on which areas could continue to see snow. Grant?
Well, we are continuing to track some light snow across parts of southern Illinois and western Kentucky right now. Let's take a look, and we can show you where the latest is on First Alert Doppler Network. Now, the good news, the overall coverage and intensity has weakened significantly, but I want to point a couple of things out. This band right here is the heaviest band, and as it went through Cape Girardeau, I had the, I guess, the fortune maybe of driving through it. And let me tell you, the roads are going to become slick very quick with you underneath this band with temperatures in the 20s. So from Mount Vernon to Coyne down to Marion, we're seeing that snow. We track it off to the south and east. Notice that dry air punching in towards Paducah and Murray very rapidly. So things will begin to improve, at least from the sky here shortly. But with temperatures very, very cold, we will see some slick spots definitely on the roadways. And remember, some of those side roads have not been treated, and they will still be covered. So again, if you're out and about this evening, please use extra caution. And if you can, just stay indoors.
We continue our team coverage of the snow with Laura Wibbenmeyer. She is in the Storm Tracker tonight with a report on road conditions. Laura, what's it like out there?
Well, guys, I'm going to keep my eyes on the road, but right now, most of the main roads are just wet with patches of black ice on them already. But some of the side roads, if we can take a live shot from the top of the storm tracker, are still covered with snow. So obviously, the less traveled roads still have the snow on them. But again, there are several spots where there are already patches of black ice. And as our temperatures continue to drop tonight, we're going to see black ice become a really big issue later tonight, and that will continue through tomorrow morning. I know it might be hard to see, but you can see the glare on the streets from the lights, and that's just showing that the streets, of course, are still wet. Unlike last night, we had winds that stayed up pretty strong through yesterday and last night. That helped us with our black ice issues, but tonight our winds will not be as strong, which means we're going to have more moisture on the road, and of course that will freeze with temperatures dropping off into the teens and 20s. We'll have much more on the forecast coming up, but right now I'm live local late breaking in Cape Girardeau. Laura Wibbenmeyer for Heartland News.
I'm Katie Brousseau with continuing coverage in Iron County, where officials are trying to figure out how a toddler vanished from his home late last night and was found this morning less than a mile away from his house, found dead in a van. Now, there are still a lot of unknowns about this investigation, but one thing is for sure. Folks I talked with today are crushed by the news about 3-year-old Titus Grayson Tackett. Now, I spoke with some of those volunteers earlier today here along Highway 72 just outside Arcadia when officials found the child in the van, who say that they just cannot imagine what this family is going through at this time. Investigators did not say whether or not there is foul play suspected at this time, but did say they are conducting interviews throughout this afternoon. Still, those who joined the search this morning say things just don't quite add up.
3-year-old kid that far away opening up van door. I don't see the baby opening up these doors because they are kind of hard to open up. So 3 years old in a diaper.
Sergeant Clark Parrott with the Missouri State Highway Patrol says it's too early on in the investigation to determine how little Titus got out of his house and how he got inside that van. He also says they do not know what the connection is between the toddler's family and the owner of the van in which Titus was found, or if there is a connection at all. Now, the sheriff tells me just a few hours ago that there is an autopsy scheduled for tomorrow morning. Now, currently, the FBI, Iron County Sheriff's Department, and the Missouri State Highway Patrol are investigating. Live local late breaking from Iron County, Katie Brousseau, Heartland News.
Thank you, Katie. No doubt many of you followed this story on social media, shared Titus's picture, and helped spread the word, and your efforts are appreciated. Sheriff Roger Medley sent out a special thank you during a news conference this afternoon to all of you who did your part to get the word out, along with all of those who braved the cold to search for the missing child. So what's next? Iron County will conduct a death investigation, a step taken whenever a child dies under the age of 16. That's under Missouri law. Look for updates on this story both on air and online as they become available. An investigation into synthetic drug overdoses leads to 4 arrests in Kennett. Police say 38-year-old Laveris and 41-year-old Lisa Turner were arrested for possession with the intent to distribute. 2 other people were arrested for outstanding warrants. Investigators say they found synthetic marijuana, cocaine residue, and illegal prescription drugs while executing a search warrant. We should learn more tomorrow about a shooting in Sykeston that leaves a 23-year-old man in critical condition. It happened on Montgomery Street. Police say the victim named the man who allegedly shot him. That 29-year-old is currently in police custody. Still no word on a possible motive.
We've always gone through periods when our democracy seems stuck. And when that happens, we have to find a new way of doing business.
9 years to the day after announcing his presidential campaign, President Barack Obama addressed the Illinois state legislature. The president noted that the tone of politics has gotten worse while he's in office and expressed regret about that. Loretto Cruz was in Springfield for the speech and has reaction live from lawmakers tonight.
Jeff, we have had team coverage here at the Illinois State Capitol since this afternoon before the president's speech began. And even though Mr. Obama's arrival is an historic event, it isn't a fix-all. The president's speech largely focused on the pleas of lawmakers to reach across the aisle and find a middle ground. Each of the 5 representatives of Southern Illinois we spoke with after the speech agreed with that message, saying compromise is the only way to move forward. But in the next breath, each of them said many proposed solutions from the other side of the aisle remain far too extreme to be reckoned with.
I do agree with the governor. Unless there are changes made in this state, we will never be what we can be, nor will we even be back to where we were.
Well, the decimation of downstate health care is an extreme position. The elimination of collective bargaining is an extreme position. The refusal to fund the universities is an extreme position.
Although many lawmakers remain polarized on many topics, each of them we spoke with had high hopes that the president's speech would be a catalyst to reignite efforts and spark a change here in Springfield. And we will continue our team coverage here at the Illinois State Capitol tonight on Heartland News at 9 and 10. But for now, reporting live from Springfield, Loretto Cruz, Heartland News.
If some Kentucky lawmakers have their way, the state might get 2 marriage license forms. One would be for straight couples, the other for same-sex couples. A Republican senator has proposed that one form has blanks for the bride and groom's names. The other form would say first party and second party. None of the forms would include the name of the county clerk. Opponents of the change say it's another way of separating gay couples. Missing a doctor's appointment could cost you money if a Missouri bill becomes law. That measure would allow doctors to charge patients on Medicaid a $5 fee after they miss 2 appointments in 3 years, and the fees would increase after that. Supporters say it would encourage more clinics to accept Medicaid patients, but opponents say it could hurt people already living below the poverty line.
Coming up, millennials aren't keeping their money under the mattress, but they aren't using banks either.
And a singing sensation out of Poplar Bluff. Hear why this 13-year-old is gaining a whole lot of attention. When it comes to millennials and their money, traditional banks may be missing out.
Molly Laird joins us now with the results of an eye-opening new survey.
Well, there are more than 83 million Americans aged 16 to 36. Some of those people have a different approach to handling cash that could signal hard times ahead for the banking industry. 32-year-old surgical resident Travis Sheba hasn't walked into a bank in years.
Everything's online, pay my bills online, money transfers, like everything.
More young adults like Sheba are finding less use for them. Millennial expert Morley Winograd says 30% of millennials don't have a checking or savings account.
Between their student loans and the Great Recession and the crash of the price of their parents' house and its value, they have come to be extraordinarily distrustful of America's banks.
Hidden fees from the big banks are pushing technology-dependent millennials to do their banking with online startups like Chime and Affirm, which gives out debit cards and small loans. Mobile payment services like Venmo that allow peer-to-peer transactions process hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
They just don't see any purpose to all the costs associated with banks when so much can be done online.
Bankrate estimates 63% of millennials aged 18 to 29 don't even have a credit card.
You really have to think about trying to maximize your limited financial power so that you're not putting yourself in a hole for the future.
Analysts say the big banks need to pay attention. A recent survey by Viacom found millennials would rather go to the dentist than listen to a banker. Kathy.
Molly, thank you. A teen YouTube sensation from Missouri just might be taking the next step to stardom.
And black ice beginning to form on many of the roadways right now, especially the side roads. Tonight and tomorrow morning, that'll be your greatest impact. We'll take a look at radar, plus another system that's headed our way possibly this weekend. More details next.
Now, First Alert weather with Grant Dave.
Very cold out there, 19 right now, Mount Vernon with that light snow flying around. Carbondale 22, 24 Cape Girardeau. The warm spot, Poplar Bluff right now coming in with 31 degrees. Jackie in Lake Perry says she got a ½ inch of snow and sitting at 28 degrees. Tina and Dexter had a few flurries, a little bit of a dusting, she said, but it's all gone now. Gary and Malden, well, he didn't let me know if he saw any. I don't think he did. I think it just grazed off to your east. 35, you can see a little warmer in the boot heel. But where we're seeing that snow right now, it's in the lower 20s. And again, if you are having to go out and about, the roads will be slick under that snow. Temperatures are well below freezing and the sun's set, so there's nothing to help us out with melting any snow. But the good news, take a look at this band of snow and how it's shrinking over the past 3 hours, really narrowing down into two concentrated bands. And it looks like now the heaviest band now is headed over towards Shawneetown. Weather watcher calling in there said he had about a ½ inch of snow over the past hour there in Shawneetown. So definitely some impact from the event right now. As we take a look at Futurecast, here's that last band kind of dissipating as we head towards the midnight hour. It's picking up on the band finally. Remember last night we were like, it was drying it out, and we thought we'd see a little bit more in the way of snow. But as we head towards midnight with clear skies, especially over southeast Missouri, west Kentucky, we can see those temperatures drop pretty fast. Winds should stay kind of calm for the most part. May even get a little patchy fog tomorrow morning. I'm going to be looking closer at that tonight at 9 and 10, so definitely tune in. If we do see some patchy fog with temperatures well below freezing, that could cause some problems as well with some slick spots. So now's the time to tune in or be thinking about before you head out tomorrow morning about the breakfast show to get the latest on road conditions before you head out. And Brian Allworth will keep you updated if we are seeing any fog out there. But by noon, anything that's out there should be dissipating. And we're talking about mostly or partly sunny skies. A few high clouds beginning to move back in Thursday. We've got another little clipper system moving down. And yes, that's light snow. Right now, it looks like most of that should miss us. But if it were to move just a little further south, we could see another round of some snow, especially across southern Illinois. That's why we have a 10% chance of precipitation right now in your extended forecast for Friday. But a cold start to the morning, teens and low 20s. How about tomorrow afternoon? Upper 20s north to getting close to 40. As a matter of fact, Union City may touch that 40-degree mark, especially if we get enough sunshine to break out during the day. All right, let's take a look at your extended forecast. There's that 10% chance on Friday. Very cold on Saturday. That 27 is not going to be pleasant at all. And then late Sunday into Sunday night and Monday, we may be talking about a rather complex weather system. Yes, we're talking about the way it looks right now, a chance of some snow across the northern half of the Heartland, a mix of sleet, snow, and freezing rain in this pink shading. And very far to the south, we could see some freezing rain and just plain rain. So definitely stay tuned over the next few days as we fine-tune the forecast for Sunday and Monday. The good news is after that system moves through, we could be looking at a nice warm-up next week. There are even some indications that by Wednesday, we may be in the upper 50s.
Thank you, Grant. A teen YouTube sensation from right here in the Heartland just might be taking the next steps towards stardom.
Jasmine Dell is live now with more on his story.
Yes, it all started with a music video Bryson took in his mom's car and posted it on his Facebook page, and he says the views kept coming. When it comes to music, Bryson says he likes what's up and coming. He actually tells me he doesn't like the oldies. He's never had voice lessons or a voice coach, so I asked Bryson how he became interested in music in the first place.
Forever. My parents and my whole family's always listened to music while I'm in a car. I would say my sister introduced me to the hip-hop version. She used to listen to it, and we used to ride around, and I'd always listen to it. I don't know. I've always loved music. Our whole family does. It's just a big thing.
Bryson plans to finalize all the paperwork on his contract by this time next week. I'm told he'll be working on an album and doing some TV work. Coming up on Heartland News at 9, I'll share with the one-on-one interview I had with Bryson and his mother about their journey.
Jasmine, thank you. With the NFL draft just a few months away, is SEMO wide receiver Paul McRoberts ready to take the league by storm? Coach Took weighs in on his former player next in sports.
Now, Heartland Sports with Todd Richards.
And hi again, everyone. Right out of the box, we're talking college hoops already underway. At Indiana State, a key game in the Missouri Valley Conference for the Salukis. Both teams coming in tied for fourth with 7-5 league marks, as you can see, and that's really early, that score, 5-2. That game really just getting rolling, as is the women's game in the Ohio Valley Conference. First place UT Martin hosting fourth place Southeast Missouri State. First quarter, Martin, man. That is some kind of team year in and year out. They do a wonderful job with that program. 30-11. The Skyhawks also won the first meeting between the two teams early this season. But again, these games are early in the early portions. And of course, we'll have the highlights tonight on Heartland Sports. Meanwhile, the Redhawks and Skyhawks men will play their rematch game tomorrow night. SEMO won the first matchup at home about 2 weeks ago in overtime.
Yeah, and what we got to do is we got to look at our first half performance when we held them to 15 points and figure out some of the things that we did so well there. And then the second half, what escaped us.
SEMO and UT Martin will tip off at 6 tomorrow night on the Skyhawks home court. Meanwhile, high school hoops, Sykeston is 19-0 and ranked #1 in Class 4. The Bulldogs will travel to Cape Central Friday for a matchup. That one, our Heartland Hoops game of the week. Sykeston coach Greg Hollifield says his team has a lot of talent, but playing together is what has set the squad apart.
They play well together. They understand each other. Just guys that you have no problems out of. They come in every day with an objective to work hard and practice and get better. And you have that, good things always happen.
Isn't that the truth? Sykeston and Cape Central will tip off at 7:30 Friday night at the Jungle. Mary Kate Burgess will have more on the Bulldogs tonight. Meanwhile, Redhawks wide receiver Paul McRoberts, his stock has gone up following his impressive play for the South squad in the recently held Senior Bowl. McRoberts showed off that talent that SEMO fans have been watching for years. His ability to catch the ball, like this touchdown reception coming up from Alabama quarterback Jay Coker to help power the South to a 27-16 win over the North.
Yeah, it was really the first time that I've ever been a part of the Senior Bowl, and I went and watched Paul, and I mean, the first time I saw him warm up, I almost cried. I was just, you know, this kid and lots of kids just dream of this moment. And for him to be inside this moment and to do the job he's done, it's just, you know, it just warms your heart. And I'll be honest, I was watching him, and really, you look at the Senior Bowl, it's the best of the best. Unless you're a top 10 pick, you're there. And he stood out.
Did he ever? If you watch that game, he stood out at practices. I watch a lot of those. NFL Combine, hopefully he'll get an invite to that later on this month. Projected as a mid-round pick. He could move on up if he does well at the Combine. We'll be right back.
The snow and bitter cold temperatures might have you wanting to cozy up on the couch, but these guys said, hey, let's just go surfing. This video from Halifax in Canada. Temperatures hovered around freezing all day in this city. You can see the surfers actually walking through the snow on the beach just to get to the waves, something I don't plan on doing anytime soon.
You're not going to Halifax?
No.
Not to surf, at least. Oh, boy. Hey, we got our own snow here. Take a look, Southern Illinois. We're watching a couple of streaks of snow. The good news, it is weakening. It is becoming a lot less impactful, at least the snow part. Now, we have water on the roadways from melted snow that is beginning to freeze right now. So there will be slick spots on the roads this evening. Also, those side roads, as you saw from the storm tracker and Laura Wibbemeyer, there are patches of snow still on those. And remember, we only got about a ½ inch in most areas, but that's still enough to cause some slick spots. Be careful.
Thank you, Grant. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good evening, and we'll see you at 10.